All right, I want to make this legitimately quick. Where do I start? I haven't thought about this a lot, so I apologize. I don't know how to verbalize what I'm going to say very well. That's another reason why I want to make it very quick. Suffice it to say that I have been thinking about rights my whole life. Um, People who grow up in America are aware that there is this common idea that you have a right to life, a right to liberty, which, as I understand, basically means freedom, and a right to pursue joy in your life. Um, we also have other rights that uh, are granted to us by uh, the Constitution. The Constitution, which is a piece of paper written by people, has somehow granted us rights. Um, that is a very questionable position to take. I've always kind of understood that. Um, to me, when you think about things like the Constitution, you have to think about it more as a contract. Um, in other words, a formal agreement made between two persons or two parties, or one party to a person. Um, so, in any agreement, there are two sides. One side offers something, and in exchange, the other side will offer something. So, that's not what we see in reality. In reality, what we see are certain laws that govern our existence. I was watching a video by Jesus recently, and he was saying, if you look at the human being, um, why is it that when there's one person next to another person, and one of those people walks by the other person, how is it that the essence or the atomic structure of the one person doesn't blend into the other person, or maybe magnetically attract into the other person? There are physical laws. What goes up comes down. Um, there's a way in which things work in the universe. It's known as physics. There's also, and this is something that not enough people talk about, but there is also laws to do with emotions and feelings. And these are laws of love that God has created. So if someone chastises you, if someone bullies you, if someone hurts you in any way or takes advantage of you in some way, you feel a certain feeling from that. Conversely, if someone expresses love to you or says that they love you, or even if they say that they like you or they enjoy seeing you or being around you, that certain feelings will arise in you when that occurs. So, you know, I think when we look at laws, it's important to not look at the ones that govern the physical structure of the universe, but also what governs, the internal universe. And basically, I'm taking the tact that everything that we see, especially everything we see in the physical universe, is there only for the reason of educating us, of teaching us, and providing a structure through which we can express ourselves and fulfill our potentiality. So, my understanding, my strong belief, and I dare say knowledge, is that we are beings created by another being. And this being, which many people call God, many people refer to as the Creator. Jesus sometimes refers to this being as the over soul, suggesting that it is one soul that is like over all of our souls. Um, but this being, obviously, as I said in one video of mine, the truth exists beyond words. So the truth of God's existence has little to do with the word that we use to describe God. But this being, whatever you want to call it, has a love. And in the love that this being has, she wanted to create beings that could experience that love and could, experience a joyful existence. So I believe very strongly that, our Creator created ourselves and this structure that we reside in called the universe so that we could experience the beauty of love. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And what will we call that phenomenon? What will we call that reality? What will we call that thing where God has given us life and given us a process by which we could experience joy? Well, I'll call it what Jesus calls it. It's a gift. So Jesus says that we have the gift of life and we have the gift of free will. We, unlike animals, it's unique to our being as souls. We are souls, and animals are not souls. We have the ability to make a decision and experience the consequences of that decision. And whereas animals can't really make mistakes, an animal will operate upon its instinct. A human being can make a mistake and experience the consequences of it and grow. And we can also do good things, and we can grow eternally. And that is a rather beautiful thing. That is a gift, like the gift of life, like the gift of the possibility of experiencing God's love. And also, I would say the love that is obvious in the universe that God created. That is, I would say, a different kind of love. And I'm taking, my marching orders from Jesus here because that's the way he says it. And it makes sense. The love that I have experienced from God feels very different it's very, personal as compared to the love that I've experienced being out in nature and observing the forces at play. So this is a very meaningful and important distinction that we have been given the gift of life, that we have been given the gift of a certain kind of freedom and the gift of being able to pursue joy. At that point, would you say that you have the right to life? I have the right. I have the right to life. It is my right. It is my God-given right. That in itself is an angry disposition. To claim that you have the right and to use that claim to demand something is frankly angry and unloving. A gift is not something that you have the right to. You can't say, I was given this gift, I now have the right to it. It is a gift that you can utilize. Whether someone has an intention for you to use it in a certain way or not, you have the pleasure to use it, in the way that you see fit. So God has given us these gifts, and we can not use them correctly. We can trample upon them, and frankly, I frequently do. I don't always appreciate my life. I don't appreciate the gift of my life, and I don't really appreciate the gift of free will in many cases because I see myself flagging and going down and degrading, and I just want it all to be over. I hate the idea that I'm hurting not only myself, but it especially pains me to consider that I am harming other people because I'm not experiencing my full potential. I'm not being the best that I can be. I'm not taking the gifts that God has given to me and using them to, their full potential. So I just want to have done with it. So that is kind of a separate, discussion. But basically, to say that you have a right to what's a right that people talk about these days? A right to citizenship, a right to what's that thing? Healthcare, to be given healthcare. That's not so much a right as a clause of a contract. If someone provides healthcare to you and it is, established in the law of a country, what you have to understand is that, you will be provided with that so long as you comply to the dictates of the contract. At the moment that you don't comply, you may not be provided with that thing. So in essence, it is a contracted thing. So that, I believe, is what is often lost in public discourse. This idea that you have a right and you therefore may demand something. A lot of different ways I can go with this particular thing. I might write something in the description below. It does strike me, I guess this is what I would say, and it's a personal thing. It's again separate to the main discussion of this video, or the main topic of this video, but I sometimes wish that God would take back the gift of my life. And when I contemplate that, but I'd almost rather be obliviated or, go into oblivion. I don't know if obliviation or being obliviated is a word, but I'd almost rather that happen, than contemplate my further degradation. And I can understand why this might be sad to many people. But I think, it's important to the topic of this video because it's interesting that certain gifts that we were given cannot be taken away as far as we are aware. We cannot, you may end your physical existence, but you are not then eliminating your existence because life does continue. You have a spirit form, you have a soul, and those forms continue even after your physical body is no longer attached to those forms, which actually give it life and allow it to be. If there was no attachment, if there was no connection, your physical body would not continue to live. So for anyone who is asking, how does my cut heal, and why is it that after I break a bone, the bone can heal? Well, the answer is because you have vitality elements that is delivered to your physical body from your soul. So I'm just going to end it there. A lot to contemplate, and these are my own opinions that I have extrapolated from great information from Jesus. Thanks for watching.